Hey guys, this is Assistant Professor Kevin Holsworth, Automotive Technology, MSU Northern. I'm going to show you guys the 5 different air conditioning loops. We're going to start with the cycling clutch orifice tube. It is a little bit vintage style of configuration, but it still exists. So once again, we're going to get those 5 parts in fluid motion. So we have to have the compressor condenser. We're going to have some kind of metering device. We're going to have some kind of storage device. And then we're going to have the evaporator. So pay close attention as we go through this. I'm going to keep this loop fairly simple. So let's just start with the AC comp. It's always pushing, it's always pulling the whole time, so it is sending refrigerant. And I'm going to leave the black out here. I'm going to go AC condenser. These can be found in chapter 2 of the book. And from there, so AC comp, AC condenser. Then we're going to go right into that orifice tube. And I like to just call it an OT. Just keep it simple, okay? Then we're going to go to our evap. And then to our AD, aka the accumulator dryer. So just imagine that this compressor is splitting the system in half with the orifice tube or the TXV or whichever style it is, okay? So this is going to be our high side and this will be our low side. Okay, so let's keep the loop going. So compressor is always sending out high pressure, high temperature gas. So it's working its tail off. So HP, HT, G. So high pressure, high temperature gas. So the condenser is always getting its gas in the top. This is going to slowly cool down and condense to the bottom. So from there, we are going to be going out into this orifice tube. So really the condenser is just condensing that gas into a liquid. So this is still going to be hot. It's not going to be as hot. So high pressure, high temperature, liquid. So far so good. What I need to do now is I actually need to switch colors because we are at the splitter. We're at the device where it shrinks it down. Basically what it's doing is it's just metering in liquid now into the evaporator. So from there, we'll just go to our evap. Let's pretend this little evap guy right here is going to get mostly full with liquid. There's going to be some gas coming off the top. So from there, we're going to go to our accumulator dryer. So the unique thing about this setup is that we could have a situation where we have too much liquid in the system, and if that happens in the evaporator, then it'll overflow into the accumulator dryer. So we are going to be in possible 2 different scenarios where it's low pressure, low temperature gas, and or liquid. So it just depends on the day. From there, our last stop is going to be from our AD to our comp. This would be considered our suction line, but it is always going to be low pressure, low temperature gas. So really the fundamentals here is that heat is being absorbed into the evaporator. So imagine that this is just heat, because we need, the whole concept behind this is that cold attracts heat. So this guy is being filled with super cold refrigerant. It's going to attract moisture, it's going to attract heat. What's going to cause that to do those? The refrigerant is going to, in essence, get hot. So really what needs to happen is that heat that is absorbed in the cab needs to be released out of the condenser. So this will be heat release. So we're almost there. A couple things we need to consider is that we need to tap into the both high side and low side of the system. So really our high side service port, I'm just going to put it over here. So that'll be HS service port. It can be on the liquid side, it can be on the gas side. I've seen it on a bunch of different applications where it's on liquid. or on gas. It's not going to affect our pressures in the system, but just be aware it can be on both sides. Same with the low pressure port. So usually in an orifice tube setup, you're going to find this on the accumulator dry. I'll just put it next door, so it'll be low pressure service port. Last but not least, we need to have a protection device for the compressor. So we're likely going to have an additional component on here. Let's draw this guy out a little bit. So imagine that this is either a 2-wire or 3-wire sensor. This will be our high pressure switch. And a lot of these cycling clutch systems, they're going to also have a low side switch. So the high pressure one, if I create too much pressure, it's going to open up, cut power to the compressor. So this is normally closed. Your low pressure switch, your low side switch, whatever you want to call it, it's constantly opening and closing. And we're looking at ranges probably, I would say a ballpark, maybe 20 to 40 PSI. So that is going to cycle the compressor to keep this evaporator functioning properly, because we don't want it to freeze and we want it to maintain a certain temperature inside there. So the pressure and the temperature correlate pretty close when we're dealing with lower pressure. As we get higher, it changes dramatically. So that is the main topic that we covered in the first week of air conditioning. So stay tuned, we got more coming.